This is Steve Zumbrun again, speaking on the subject of what went wrong with the Baltimore Ravens and with John Harbaugh. And you may, I just started doing these videos. I'm doing it not for any other reason. I don't know or I don't care. I just want to be obedient to God, and I do these videos because someone somewhere needs to hear this. And if you've seen my other videos, you know the full story of how God put me right in the center of the brain knowledge of the Ravens, and how it's been going on for many years, over a dozen years, that I've been right there, that God has allowed me to see so many things happening with the Ravens, and being really tight and close with John Harbaugh. And you may ask, what gives me the right to say I know these things? Because I hear from God. And what gives you the right to hear from God? Because, you know, salvation's free. To be a believer, it's free. It's a free gift from God. But there's gifts that you earn. And God, from the moment that I can remember knowing about God, I knew I had a call in my life. I knew that I was chosen of God. I knew that I heard the voice of God. There was something different about my life that was just being called by God. And I'm 72 years old, you know, and I look back on my life. I've never ever said a profane word, a cuss word. I never smoked cigarettes, never took drugs, never cheated on my wife. I've been married for almost 50 years, same person. I've always been holy and pure before a holy God, because when you're called, like I've been called, I don't want to lose it. I want to stay tight to the Lord. And let me explain something. The reason I can hear from God, the reason that I was chosen to be with the Ravens, and I'll tell you the reason I was chosen to be with the Ravens. I'll tell you the reason why Harbaugh and I hit it off so well, because in my high school and college days, I was an excellent athlete and played pretty high level high school and college sports. It was all state teams, and I just excelled, and God gave me that ability. But let me tell you the reason why I am who I am now. It's because of coaches who were strict disciplinarians. I grew up in the early 70s with the Vince Lombardi era, where coaches were just like Vince Lombardi. And I went through that in high school and then college. And because of that, I became very disciplined and very understanding of what it takes to succeed. So that was the physical part of my life that God allowed me to endure, because He saw what was coming after that. Then after college, I gave my life to the Lord. I used to be a Catholic and sit, stay, and kneel. I never got anything out of it. So I talked to some guys who were strong in the Lord, and I got saved. I got right with God, and He put me in a Pentecostal church, of all things, where the gifts of the Spirit flowed. And I had some of the best Pentecostal teachers that they're out there, and preachers. And I learned so much about the Holy Spirit. I got the best training from the best. So here I am. I've gotten the best physical, disciplinarian, and athletic training from my coaches. Then I become saved and become part of the Pentecostal movement, and I had some of the best teachers. So I had best of both worlds. I understood the Holy Spirit. I was disciplined. I get up every morning, 2-3 o'clock. I'm a disciplined person. I run every day, work out. Because that's who I am, and that's why God chose me. And you ask me, why were you chosen? Because I had all the qualifications set by God prior to Him calling me to this pretty big position to be with Harbaugh. And Harbaugh and I hit it off pretty well. We had pretty much the same standards on how to live our lives and all that. But he was a Catholic and I was Pentecostal, so there's the big difference. And God spoke to me. God showed me things. And, you know, to be honest with you, throughout my life and throughout my I've been saved 50 years. When I got saved, I went out on the street corners and I witnessed to over 1 million people, because I went to Ocean City, on the boardwalk. I went to the Inner Harbor, and there was tons and tons of people that I preached to after I got saved. So, I've been through stuff. I'm not some green person that's a teenager just got saved. I've been through stuff. I've experienced stuff for 50 years. I've been through a lot that God has allowed me to go through to just refine me in the fire and to make me prepared for these kind of things. So when he speaks, he knows he can trust me, and that's what he's done. And that's why I went into the camp with full knowledge, full understanding of his presence, his voice, and everything else that I needed. But with all that being said, I can only do what God tells me to do. It's up to the people that I speak to. I'm only the messenger, and you know what happened. And let me just say this one last thing before I click off, and I'll be back though. I'm going to prophesy more that God showed me, okay? And I'm going to tell you things that you would never hear from the media. You would never hear from anybody else, because when God speaks to you, he shows you things. I'm going to share a lot of things that you'll never hear from anybody else. And a couple of things I want to share, I'll kind of briefly touch on them. Because of Harbaugh rejecting the message that God eventually had for me, I've spent so many years, but he eventually rejected it, and the chaplain rejected it. There's such things as curses. You can put a curse on yourself and your team. Well, I'm going to prophesy, and it'll come to pass, and hadn't come to pass yet because it's going to happen in the future. The Ravens are never going to see any signs close of a championship because of the chaplain putting a curse, coming against God, coming against the Holy Spirit. They'll never come close again, and you'll see. And there's other things too, and I mentioned about Lamar Jackson, and I mentioned the curse he has on his life. And also, there's one last thing. Harbaugh put a curse that his teams will never be above 500. What happened last year was the start of the rest of his career being under 500. And that's pretty bold predictions, but it's not coming from me. It's coming from God himself, because you don't come against the Holy Spirit. You don't come against the man of the Holy Spirit. And I'm going to pick it up later. Thank you.